Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak. It's day 3 of summer and the first of our crops is actually ready for harvest. Just popping into the office here just to pull up the information on the farm for you. So as you can see, we now have the first of our crops ready to go. Our barley, our wheat and our canola are all ready. All available to be harvested. Now I'm going to hold off on these two for now, on the wheat and the barley, because I want to bale those, so I can keep some of the straw bales for hopefully moving into dairy a little bit later this year, but also because we made 140 odd bales, 144 bales of silage the other day. They're all up here at the BGA, just inside this inside one of these pits up here. So until those are fermented and ready to be sold, that's only leaving us with a bale limit of 56. And don't forget, we actually have 8 bales of hay remaining here at the sheep farm as well. So in actuality, we don't have 56 bales available. We only have 48. That's how many bales we can make before we hit the bale limit. And there's going to be more than 48 bales on either of these two fields. So because of that, we're going to hold off for now, because if I just leave them as is, then I'm pretty sure the weather is not going to be favourable for us, and we are going to get some rain at some point. If not today, then definitely tomorrow, as you can see from the forecast there. If actually, no, I'm looking at the wrong day. In a couple of days, we've definitely got some rain, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do get a little bit of rain today. As we've generally seen with seasons, for some reason, slap bang in the middle of summer, we always get a predicted sort of snowfall or hailstorm in the middle of summer. It always seems to happen when I do one of these, seasons let's plays, regardless of the geo I'm using. So as a result of that, I'm pretty sure that at some point today we're going to get some of that snow/hail that's going to fall, and that's going to rot any hay that we have or any straw that we have lying out on those fields. So to get around that, we're just going to hold off, and we're going to start on the canola first instead. So let's make our way out of here. I'm going to head to this shed here. We're going to break out the combines, and instead we're going to attack the canola that we have over there on field 43. That's what we're going to harvest today, and then we'll see where we stand time wise once that's done. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to actually harvest with both of these two combines. I mean, they're not big, they're not fast, and they have a very small working width, so it could take us a few hours, but we should get this done quite comfortably, I think, in the first part of the morning. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to weed off that grass field that we mowed yesterday, so that that's ready for more fertilizing. It's already at stage 1 thanks to having been cut. This will take it to stage 2, and then one more run with the weeder after today, and it'll be ready for a completely full 200% fertilization yield. So let's get the weeder hooked up. Don't need to worry about the wheels, because we have no grass to flatten. It's all been completely mowed right down, as you can see. So as before, I'm going to run a quick border around the edges, and then I'm going to start and make sure that our worker doesn't cut across onto our soybean crop just there. That might possibly be grown a bit more as well, so I do want to check that at some point, see whether or not I can actually put the final stage of fertilizer on our soybeans. Technically we're into our 3rd iteration, because we're on day 3, but it all depends on when that crop grew, so it might be that we have to wait till tomorrow to put the final stage of fertilizer on our corn and our soybeans. So we'll check that in just a moment, but to start us off, as I say, I'm going to run a manual border around this field here, make sure that this is all prepped and ready, and then I'll get the worker to start weeding this field for us while I attack our canola field just there. So I'll get this done and I'll catch up with you in just a second. Okay, so I've got a border done around 3 of the edges of this field. Just need to do a start here. There we go. Starting on this side, obviously, so we don't end up running into our soybean like we did last time. Let's just take a quick look at the soil colour. That still looks pretty dark to me, so I don't think that's ready for another stage of fertiliser just yet. So we'll hold off on that for now. But with our worker up and running, weeding away for us over here, what we can do now is we can break out our 2 combines, and I think I'll use... In fact, I think I'm going to be using the Magnum to pull our auger wagon. So I need to get a few different things set up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the 2 combines in position, get them underway, 'cause they're going to take a little while to fill up. So let's jump into this one here first of all. Let's grab the first header. There we go. Back her up a little bit. There we go. Right, so let's make our way over to the field. I've got to be really careful I don't get too close to our wheat field just there. Especially on this bit. It is a little bit tighter than expected down here. So as I say, I do think I'm going to have to roll a little bit of that field in at the end of the harvest, just so I've got a little bit more width over here. You can see just how little room I've got between both fields, and this is a small combine. We get anything that's much wider than this, especially with a larger combine, and we're in some serious trouble. So we'll start off. We're going to do just unfold. There we go. We're going to do a headland on this edge of the field, just so we've got a little bit more turning room away from our sunflower crop just there. And obviously we've got a tree that's coming up as well, so the field is actually going to take a little bit of a break. So we'll probably need to do a double width on this. One to line us up with the tree, and then the second pass to, you know, give us a headland at, you know, when we get to the tree itself as well. And this field is slightly oddly shaped as well, so it's actually slightly wider at this end than it is at the other end of the field. So we're going to have a section where we're going to have to be sort of running it manually when it gets towards the end of the field, because we'll have a sort of a thin triangular section of the field left that the workers are going to stop every time they get to that end. It's going to be too shallow an angle for them to turn around and carry on. So there's the tree, as you can see. So we've got that end done. Let's move around the other side of the tree. There we go. And go back along the other side. Let's just step in a little bit. There we go. Make sure we're tagging everything. Looks as though we are. Good stuff. So as I say, this headland that we're putting in is simply to protect our sunflower crop, so that we don't get too close to it when we're doing any turns. I mean, the workers won't cause any damage, but if we take manual control of a harvester, we don't want to be too close if we're making a turn ourselves. Plus, when it comes to the auger or the chaser bin, you know, at the end of a pass, again, we don't want to have the issue of colliding with our field and causing damage to those sunflowers, because they're actually a pretty good value crop for us. So we want to make sure that we can maximize our harvest on that field, and every time we run into it, we're damaging our profits. Right, there we go. Headland pretty much complete, and we've used up 2,000 litres, so that's about a third of the storage capacity of this combine. You can hear it sort of rattling and clunking. Very old piece of machinery. So there we go. We'll get that one started. Let's head back to the farm, grab the other combine, and set that to work on there as well. So we've moved a nice little chunk into the field here. It's probably slightly over halfway at the bottom end, but about halfway along the top end. We'll get this guy started up here. There he goes. Can't see the other one because he's just over the hill. Where is our other combine? Might be at the far end actually, just out of draw distance. He's down there somewhere. Yeah, he's right at the bottom of the field, so he should just be becoming visible over the crest of that hill very shortly. There, you can just see him coming over the hill there, look. So, now we need to get a couple more things set up. So we need to grab our truck and get that hooked up to the trailer, and then we also need the Magnum and the chaser bin as well. So I'll get those things in position, and then I'll see you back on the field. So we're a little bit low on fuel on this tractor because it's been used quite a bit, and I would like to refuel it. However, that first combine has already hit the 80% warning, so is going to fill up, and we don't really have time at the moment to empty, to sit and just let this thing fill up with fuel. So we'll have to do that in a moment. So let's just change cruise control speed. There we go. You can see the beacons flashing on the combine there. Oops. There we go. So here we go. It's the first of our crops being harvested this year. It feels so weird to be this far advanced on a Let's Play series on episode 3. But I do kind of feel quite glad that I skipped out, spring this time around and went straight to summer. It's allowed us to get straight into sort of the action with the farm this year, and then obviously we'll feature spring next year, obviously, as we're prepping and getting ready for our second plantings. But I just wanted to get straight into the nitty-gritty this time around, and this seemed like the best way of doing it would be to just skip the summer completely. I need to check on that other combine as well, actually, and just check which direction that's actually turning when it gets to the bottom of each pass of the field, whether it's turning left or turning right, and coming towards this combine or going away from it in the same sort of turn direction. So we'll keep an eye on that in a second. We're almost at the end of this pass. That other combine's not going to be too far off needing an empty of its own as well, so there we go. We've made it to the bottom of the field, so let's pull out of the way, careful not to run over our soybean there, and let's look for that other combine. Which way is it turning? I think it's actually turning the wrong way. I'm going to quickly jump to it. Oh no, it's going the right way. That's excellent. I was worried that it would be turning and going back in that way, but it's not, as you can see. So that's all good. Actually, what's the tank on that? It's about halfway at the moment. So, okay, we've got a little bit of time now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this back to the farm, refuel it, because as you can see we only have 137 litres left. And then once this is refueled and back on the field ready to go, we'll make sure that everything's nice and empty, and we need to head over to the sheep farm as well and give our sheep a drink, because they are running desperately low on water. They only have a couple of 100 litres or so of water left. And the last thing I want is my my sheep to start losing health and dying off. So just pull up alongside the fuel tanker. There we go. There is the situation with our sheep, as you can see. Need to be cleaned. They're only at 56% cleanliness and just 447 litres of water left. They'll need a new hay bale possibly by the end of the day, but I think probably more likely the beginning of tomorrow morning. We'll see how they're looking at the end of the day, but they've got just about half a trough of food left, so in theory they should be good till, until tomorrow. Our second combine has just given us the signal that it's ready for an empty. Just waiting for this first one to finish turning and move out the way. There we go. Off he goes. And our fuel cost us another $1,000. We are starting to really struggle again with the finances, as you can see. $65,000 in debt. We are losing because of the wages that we're paying out for our workers. But don't forget, we are sitting on that big nest egg of 144 bales of silage. That's going to raise quite a significant amount of money for us, and hopefully will completely eliminate this debt. It should do. I'm hoping if we can get, say, $900 a bale, which I think is about the price for silage bales on seasons. We can get $900 a bale, then we're sitting on around about 120,000 or so, which is pretty good. It's pretty good indeed. Certainly over 100,000, and that's going to clear our debt and give us a little bit of cash on hand as well, which will pay for wages and fertilizer costs, and put us in a very, very healthy position indeed. Oh, our combine didn't have enough space in the tank to make it all the way back up. That's a shame. I was hoping he'd just be able to make it, so we'll have to be wary of that. So we'll have to jump in, fire the worker. The wrong side of the chaser, unfortunately. Really, it's a very high wall on this side. We should just about be able to make it. Nope. Alright, okay. That didn't work. Let's pull the Magnum through, turn it round, and empty that way so we can make sure we get the clearance. Got enough space, I think. Oh, that's close. That's really close, but we just had enough turning room there. There we go. So you can see the black seed of the canola there being emptied in, or OSR, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, and look, there we go. Look, I did say that we're probably going to get some wet weather today. There is the symbol up in the top right corner of the weather. You can see we do have rain forecast for some point later today. It's going to be several hours away at the very least. It's probably not going to hit us till towards the end of the afternoon / early evening. It would be my guess, but it's going to hit us, and this is why I didn't want to risk doing the straw baling today, because A, we wouldn't be able to make that many bales and we'd end up leaving a lot of straw on the field, and B, I had this horrible feeling that it would be bad weather today, and all that leftover straw would just rot away. So we can make hopefully quite a nice bit of extra cash from those hay bales, or those straw bales, once they're all done. And there goes our combine back up and running again. You can just see our other one there just nipping over the top. You can also just see Our Puma working away as well. Look at that. Let's see if we can pan out a little bit. 4 moving vehicles all on the same screen, and the 5th one all parked up ready and waiting as well. It's always nice when you can get multiple shots like that, or multiple vehicles all in the same shot like that. So let's unload into our tank while we're waiting. And I do want to replace this trailer at some point in the future with a larger capacity one, but this one will do for now. I think 43,000 litres is the capacity of this, so a couple of full Metal Tech trailers worth, well, not even 2 full trailers worth, and this grain trailer will be full, but I'm going to upgrade it for one with about 65,000 litre capacity, I think, going forward. It's the one I used on American Midwest. I can actually show you the trailer. I think I've still got it installed. Which one is it? Where is it? I've got quite a few trailers installed because I've been playing about with different themes. This one here, the Maya Boss RT. That's the one I'm looking at. Although I may possibly play around with the Galera. I haven't used that one before. Only trouble is that one can only come in that blue colour. But I don't know if that one actually has a cover or not. I don't think it does. And I know this one definitely doesn't have a cover. I like this trailer. I think that's probably the one I'm going to go with. As you can see, over a 65,000 litre capacity and will handle everything. So I think that's what we'll use. And there is the hurry up from our first combine. So we'll tag this guy. There we go. And so this is going to be us for the next few hours, just harvesting away on here. So I'll continue with this, and I'll give you some updates as we make some progress. So one of the things I do need to do is I need to take my 1455 back to the sheep farm so that we can put it away in the shed where it's supposed to be. I've given it a quick clean, as you can see, and what I've also done is I've hooked up my American Bandit trailer just here as well. So we're going to load this up, and this is because I need to have a way to get back once I've dropped the tractor back off. So we'll take it over, and then we'll have a way to actually get back to the farm once we've done that, once we've delivered this. So let's park that just there. Let's bring the fence up, and it says one of my workers has stopped finishing. One of the combines has obviously stopped, or something. Now that's odd. What worker stopped? Unless I hit the worker button by mistake when I was in the other tractor, I don't know. That's a bit odd. But you can see we need to empty combine number 1 again. There's the 80% warning. I've just recently emptied number 2, so got another 6,000 or so litres, maybe 7,000 litres by the time we get to the bottom of canola to go into the chaser. There we go. And once this is emptied, we'll drop this grain off into the waiting truck over there, and then we'll jump in the pickup and we'll run that 1455 back to the other farm and quickly take care of our sheep. Look, there we go, that's the worker that's finished. Of course it is. It's the Puma who's been weeding away on the grass field for us. I wonder what was the worker that had finished. That explains it. So, alright, that's close enough to the edge of the field. Let's go and dump our grain. The one thing that does concern me is that I don't have any transport trailers at the moment with covers. So It's causing me to think that that's something I'm going to need to purchase if we have to move stuff in the rain or the snow. But I think we should be okay. Right, let's jump into our truck, our pickup truck. There we go. And let's take this over to the other farm. So we're going to shortcut our way through the fields rather than go all the way up to the top of the map, along and then back down again. We'll just shortcut here past the Lone Oak itself and drive up to the sheep farm that way. It's still a long trek whichever way we go, but this is slightly quicker. Again, I just need to be really careful with my turning radius. I don't want to go too fast as I go through these corners because I don't want the the 1455 to go flying off the side of the trailer. We can't strap vehicles down, unfortunately, so it is a bit risky to transport things on the backs of trailers like this, but as long as you're careful with the cornering speeds, it's not usually too bad. You can see it seems to be holding reasonably firm. Doesn't look like it's slipping around position wise. So here we are, arriving on the edge of our sheep farm. There it is, just over there. See, we don't have beacons on our trailer, so I actually put them on the tractor instead. Ooh, bit of a wobble as I hit that a little bit too fast, but we're getting through, and you can see that the tractor is holding pretty steady on there. It doesn't look to have slipped or rolled all over the place, which is good to see. So we'll park just here. Let's just actually I need to back up just a touch. There we go. So let's turn the engine off. Let's jump into the 1455. Back her off the trailer. And we're going to need to make sure that we refill the water trailer, I think. I don't think I've got any water left in there. Let's find out. Nope, it's completely empty. So back up to the windmill. There we go. We have to pay for this water, but yeah, I don't mind that too much really. It's not the end of the world. I mean, there is free water to be found on this. There are certain spots where you can go and get free water, but none of them are easy to get to, you know, when this is just a much more convenient setup. Oh, looks like one of our combines has stopped. And while that's unloading, we'll jump in the Bobcat so that we can quickly tidy up the food trough. Excellent stuff. Right, so with the food cleared away and the water level topped up, we're done here for the day. So we can put this stuff back away again and go back and continue our harvest. So both of our combines are full and waiting to be unloaded, as you can see. We'll deal with this one first. There's the other one parked up, ready and waiting as well. As soon as we've unloaded this one, we'll nip over there, tag the other one. Let's just try and get this one restarted a bit. There we go. At least get him moving to the end of the field, so that we'll have a completely empty tank at the bottom of the pass. And I have noticed that, I don't know if it's just because of the unevenness of the terrain, but I have noticed that these combines are struggling to unload into this auger wagon. Now there is a smaller one which is available as a mod. That's the small Horsch, which has a capacity of 20,000, but I found that the tip points on that are, well, you know, the fill triggers are incredibly sensitive and only work in very, very, you know, tight extremes, and I don't think it's been updated to fix that on console. Probably should have put a headland in on that end as well. You can see we are technically driving into the crop a little bit, but let's go nip in front of him here while he's turning. Block him for a second. Here you can see that's kind of a slightly different shaped wedge just here. You can just about make out that it is a little bit sort of angled. So it's a very shallow edge on this field. But it's definitely wider at that end than it is at this end. By, in total, about 3 or 4 passes, I think. Maybe not quite that much, but I don't know. It depends on your working width, I suppose. Well, let's see. We're at 10 o'clock, or nearly 10 past 10. This field is probably another hour away or so, maybe a touch more from being done. I'm trying to think what we're going to attack next. As I say, we're not going to be doing the straw field, so we're not going to be doing the wheat or the barley. Not today, because I'm just not confident with the weather. I do want to double check, make sure that we don't need to spray those fields. So I will break out the sprayer after this, just to double check whether or not we do need to put another application of fertilizer on that. I get this feeling that the ground probably should be a little bit darker if it was fertilized. It looks to be the same color as this here. You can see there's very little difference in darkness of the soil, so I think that might actually be ready for another round of fertilizer, which will be the final stage. So that's something we could do this afternoon, once we've got this harvest out of the way, is to fertilize our fields for the final time, get our corn and our soybean completely ready, and then we'll just have to wait for those to grow. And I don't think it's going to be at all ready in summer. I think we're looking at early autumn before our soybeans even going to be close to being ready to be harvested. I'm not sure about the corn, probably about the same, because don't forget they were quite late in terms of their growing. But the sunflowers aren't far away, they're in their final stage. Obviously we know that our canola is ready because we're harvesting it right now, and both our wheat and barley are ready now as well. So over the next few days we're going to be quite busy, I think, with our combines. Let's just see how much capacity we have left in our trailer. We're getting full. Tell you what, let's go and empty this now, because we're not going to have enough to finish this field off. So let's go and empty. In fact, I don't know if we're going to have enough to empty the auger. Just must be a 47,000 litre capacity. You can see we're at 45 and a bit at the moment. This is the turn where I need to be really careful. With that telegraph wire sticking out at one end, and then the proximity of that crop, have to be really careful on that turn there. But let's throw some grain into our silo. There we go, a nice big chunk of money crop going into storage, ready for later in the year. I tell you what, this is going to be a good indicator, I think, as to how much storage we're actually going to need. We've just thrown 45,000 litres of canola, which is not the greatest of yields in terms of volume from one field, and we've still got maybe a third of the field left to go, so we're probably looking at another 20,000 litres or so of that to go into the silo. So you can understand why, with only having 100,000 litres, I didn't think that was going to be enough. 500,000 is more future-proofing. We're not going to need 500,000 litres of storage this year, but we will next year, I think, or maybe the year after. But we're definitely at some point going to need quite a lot of storage. You can see the worker getting a little too close to the tree for comfort there. There is our other combine just turning on his pass. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're actually going to jump into this combine, fire the worker, and we're going to start manually harvesting this section just to save a little bit of money on wages. We can always hire a worker again when it gets close to emptying one of the combines, but I'm going to start running up and down this, and I'm going to start working on this other edge of the field. So you can just see there's a little blur on the edge of the field there. It looks as though I missed a thin line, so I'm just going back up this side again, because I've got a feeling there's a thin line of unharvested canola that we can't see but is technically there. So that's what I'm going to try and tag on this pass here. I think I got a little bit too far in, so we should see some movement in the header. Yep, there we go, look. You can see there is a thin line of canola left on the edge of this field. So it's not going to be a huge amount, but it all adds up. You can see the grain counter is going up. No point in wasting this this part of the crop. Because it's all money at the end of the day. Even if it's not a lot, it's enough, you know, to maybe throw on an extra $1,000 perhaps at the end of the day. Maybe not even that much, but at the very least it'll contribute towards our wage costs. So yeah, it's always worth making sure that we've completely tagged this entire field. So to help make this field a little easier to harvest, I split this final section into two, just so that I could deal with these sort of staggered edges a little bit better. Hopefully I can kind of leave this worker alone now, and he'll do the rest of this field without any issues. Not too far off on the other side as well, as you can see. We're making some pretty good progress over there. All starting to come together quite nicely. I've got 18,000 litres in here, so I thought there'd be maybe 20,000 left on the field, but as you can see, it's going to be more than that. It's going to be a fair bit more than that. Probably going to be close to 30,000 once we're done off both combines, considering what's left to harvest and what's currently in their tanks. So it's all looking quite good at this stage. Is this combine getting ready for an empty? I don't think it is. Let's cycle through them and check. We're at 4,000 on this one, only 3,000 on that one, so that's not too bad. Just this final strip left to go now on this field. Cleared out that section over there, as you can see, so not long left to go. So here we are then at the end of the harvest for this particular field. We've taken a lot longer than I thought we would, which I suppose, given the size of the headers, is maybe not so surprising. But we have gained more than I thought as well. I thought we might have another 20,000 or so left on the field. It's going to be closer to 30. We've got more than that. It's going to be closer to 40. We've got 24,000 or so in the truck already from a previous unload from our chaser bin. You can see I'm just emptying this combine here. That one is almost empty. I had to empty it at the start of this pass, so not a huge amount extra to go in after this. Maybe an extra couple of thousand litres at most. And that's this one done. Just move that out of the way. Folder up, beacons off, engine off. Let's go check the other combine, see how much is left in that. Like I said, probably only going to be 1,000 or so litres, maybe 2 at a push. Well, not even that, 561. Really not much at all. There we go. So engine off, close the lid, fold the arm in. But you can see you've got 18,000 litres here in the auger, in the chaser bin. So combine that with a 24 in there, that's 42,000 litres. That's a pretty impressive haul, that really is. So we made, including little bits, the best part of 88,000 litres of canola from that one field. And that's canola. That's a crop with a low yield. So you can imagine, you know, a field that size of, say, wheat, a couple of 100,000 litres easy, and that's just one field, which certainly wouldn't have been enough for our initial storage as it sat. You know, now that we obviously have the uprated storage, we've got more than enough. But look at that, 42,500 litres to go with the 45 and a bit that we've already thrown in. That's an awful lot of canola. And we have, I think, a little bit left in storage already as part of the starting crop. So we've probably got around 90,000 plus in total in our storage now. There we go. So let's just take a look. You can see our storage total going up and up and up. We've actually got a great demand for sunflowers at the moment, and it's not a horrible price, but our sunflowers are not ready to be harvested yet. 92,500 litres of canola in total at the end. That's not bad at all. It's really not too bad at all. So I need to bring the equipment in off the field. We'll give it a quick wash and then stick it back in the sheds. And then after that, we're going to break out the spray and see if we do need to fertilise our soybean anymore. So I'll see you in a moment. Alright, moment of truth time. Let's find out if we can fertilise. And yes, we can, look. So that's going to be us for the rest of the afternoon then, I think, is putting the final stage of fertiliser on our corn and our soybean. That's going to be it for the rest of the day. It's too late to really try and start another harvest. You can see from the weather radar in the top right that it's, yeah, that rain is getting closer and closer. It's now the predominant symbol for our weather forecast, which means it's less than, you know, less than 6 hours away. It's probably going to hit us around about 7 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier than that, maybe a little bit later. But it's definitely on the way. So given that we can't really do any more harvesting, we can't really do any hay work because on our grass field, because as I say, that rain is coming. and these fields do need to be fertilised, that may as well be it now, I think, for the rest of the day. It's taken us a long time to get that first field done, and it's not a huge field. I mean, it's not a small field, but it's not a huge field. So I'm a little concerned that it's just going to take too long to get anything done. So once I've done this, depending on what time I get finished fertilising, if I have time, I might head over to the dealership, might head over to Manning's and speak to the sales rep, see if I can arrange for a test drive of a larger combine with a view to perhaps purchasing one, because as you can see, it's taken us that long to get just one field done. We've got some really big fields. I mean, if you look at our chart here, 43 is a decent size, but 48 is bigger, 34 is bigger, 49 is bigger, 45 is more time consuming because of its awkward shape. 35 and 30, while not bigger fields, again have awkward shapes which are going to make it hard for an AI worker. So the amount of faffing that's going to need to be done with two small combines running on those fields means, I think we're going to be better off perhaps trading those in and just getting a single combine. So I will get in touch with Manning's either once I'm finished with the spraying or first thing tomorrow, and we'll try and arrange for a demo on a different combine so that we can try that out on one of our next set of fields, possibly our wheat and barley fields. We'll try it out on that, and if it's any good, then we'll look at part exchanging in both of our combines and replacing with the next model up from Case. So I'm going to carry on spraying away, and I'll check in with you again when we're just about done with this. Well, as you can see, it's now 6:30. I'm still working on my way through the spraying. I've almost finished field 49. I've still got fields 45 and 48 to do as well, although the corn is all done now. So definitely not going to have time to get in touch with Manning's. They'll have closed by now. However, at least I can get all the spraying and the fertilising of our crops done today, so we don't have to worry about that for the rest of this season. And it means I'll just get in touch with Manning's first thing in the morning. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to take out a little bit of money, I think, or maybe use some of the money from our silage bales to actually buy a slurry spreader so that we can use that digestate that we've got, or that we will have when we sell those bales, because we now have a field, as you can see, that's just been harvested and needs to be cleaned and prepped for the next row of seeding, or the next round of seeding. So what I'd like to do is clean that off and put some slurry on it, and then then plant some oilseed radish in there so that we can get a cover crop in, ready for sort of cultivating in at the end of autumn, maybe early spring. And that means we won't need to do any kind of fertilizing for that field as it stands, because it'll get a stage from the slurry, it'll get a stage from the OSR, and then it'll get a stage from when it gets seeded, assuming that I put in something like canola or wheat or barley or soybean, something from the pronto basically. If I actually know, the Maestro fertilizes when it seeds as well. So yeah, regardless of what I plant, on that field, it'll be at stage 3 when it gets planted, so that'll be one field completely taken care of, which will help save us a bit of time and money when we come to do our planting next year, for that, at least for that one field. So that's kind of the plan. So there's nothing left for me to do now other than to just carry on spraying and get these last two fields done. That field there in front of me, and that one over there by the trees. Get those two fields sprayed, and then that'll be it for the day in terms of work that needs to be done. So I'm going to call it an episode here. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another episode of Lone Oak Farm and day 4 of summer very soon.